I really don't want to do this video now. The work of the manager was incredible, it was beautiful. Oh my, he's really gonna get things done, he's gonna be so productive. Then from the future is the most productive guy that I know. Feels a little bit like you're a robot. But then what happens? Life happens. That's how awesome this book is. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel, the best spot on YouTube for creative productivity and growth. Today we are talking about the book that I wish I read before I started being an entrepreneur. And that book is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And I have to tell you that single-handedly, this book changed how I view my business and what it takes for me to grow it to the next level. That's how awesome this book is. Now, I wouldn't be able to do justice to the entire book in a single video, so I'm just going to focus on the parts that resonated with me the most. So first, I'll start by talking about the entrepreneurial myth. Then I'm going to talk about the three competing personalities, the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Then we're going to move on to the three stages of a business. And finally, we're going to talk about how to work on your business, not in it. So make sure you stick until the end of this video to know how I applied all the lessons from this book into my own business and the lessons that I learned along that journey. All right, so let's get started talking about the entrepreneurial myth. So the E-myth is the myth of the entrepreneur. So what's the number one reason people start a business? They are working on a job which requires a very technical set of skills, and over time they get tired of the boss, the office politics, and everything that surrounds the office. And what's more is, after a few years, you kind of think that your value is not being appreciated by that company. And so in your mind, you start to think, why not take all the technical skills that I have and start my own business? I'll get paid a lot more while still doing almost the same job. And that's the time most people decide to start a business. Now, what's the problem here? The problem is that you assume just because you know the technical side of things, you have all the knowledge and all the skills required to actually start and grow a business. Because when you actually look at how a business operates, you understand that they require many different components, and the technical side of things, the getting things done part, is just one small part of it. And what that means is the technical work of a business, making websites, writing code, consulting clients, coaching clients, all of those are very different from the business itself. And by assuming that just by the technical side of things alone, you'll be able to build a business, you actually create a new job for you instead of actually creating a business. And so to better understand how to actually build a business, you need to be aware of the three competing personalities that all entrepreneurs have. And those are the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. So here's the reality. Everyone that goes into business is actually three people in one. And the problem here is that all of these personalities want to be the boss, but none of them wants to work for a boss. Because remember, that was actually the main reason most people decided to start their own business. They started the business to get rid of the boss. But because of these three different personalities and everyone wants to be in charge, conflict starts to appear.
That's it. Conflict.
So let's talk a little bit about these three personalities. So first we have the entrepreneur, which is really the visionary in all of us. And because he is a visionary, the entrepreneur lives in the future, never in the present, never in the past, always looking forward. His responsibility is mostly creativity and strategy, to take chaos into harmony, to explore new opportunities, and to decide where your business is going in the next few months, in the next few years. And for me personally, being the visionary is the part that attracts me the most when building a business. It was actually the single one reason that I decided to start a business. Yes, maybe I was a little bit tired of working for someone else, but I wanted to create better things, and the places that I was working, that was not being done. So all those moments when I think about, oh, it would be great to have this, or it would be great to have that, that's the entrepreneur in me speaking about the future, speaking about everything that I should do to propel my business forward. And because I am a bit of a dreamer, there's so many things that the entrepreneur wants to do that when it translates to actual things that I need to do on a day-to-day, it gets a little bit overwhelming. And so the way that I deal with having so many ideas or so many things that I should do is by putting things on what I call the icebox. So the icebox is basically where I incubate an idea for at least a month before I go back and review and see if it's still something worth pursuing. And so what that means is I'll take my phone and I'll open the notes app and I'll write down all the ideas that I have. And this could literally be anything. Ideas for new videos, for new series, for new courses, for new articles, for new things we should do in our business, for people that we have to hire, for roles that we must fulfill. All of this, I'll put it in there, and then every month I will make sure that I'll review those ideas and see the ones that still make sense. And for some ideas, I'll even do an additional layer of exploring to see if I'm on the right track and if it's something worth pursuing.
You say I'm a dreamer.
And then when those ideas need to turn into a reality, I move into my second personality, which is the manager. So the manager is the pragmatic personality, because without the manager, there'll be no planning, no order, no predictability. So in a way, if the entrepreneur lives in the future, the manager lives in the past. It's that personality within you that craves order, that craves a certain system, a certain workflow of how you get things done. And so the manager is the one who truly runs the business, while the entrepreneur is the vision, the innovation, the creativity. The manager is the one responsible for translating that innovation, that creativity into something that actually gets gets done. And it's because of this synergy between the vision, the innovation, and then creating workflows for getting things done that creates an actual business. And so here's an example of my business. A long time ago, I had the idea of creating a new course called Zettelkasten in Rome. And so the idea behind this course is how I use Rome to take notes from podcasts, from articles, from books, from everything that I consume, and input it into Rome research, and then how I use that to create new things, either articles, videos, scripts, Twitter threads, Instagram posts, all of these things. Because I already have the knowledge of how to do it and is a system that I use for my life, it is proven that it works, I decided to pursue that idea. So all of that is the work of the entrepreneur, is the vision, is the idea of creating a new course. For the second quarter of this year, I decided to make that course a reality. So now I'm translating the idea of the entrepreneur into the realm of the manager. And what that means for me, if I want to make that course a reality, now I need a plan on how I'm actually going to deliver that course. What type of course is it going to be? What am I going to cover? Are there going to be exercises? When am I going to record the videos? Which platform am I going to use to deliver the course? In other words, I need to make time for planning the class, scripting the class, recording the class, editing the class, and then publishing the class, and then obviously the promotion that goes with it. So while in theory, the idea of the entrepreneur of creating a new course was a good one, it would mean nothing if it wasn't translated now into then the manager who makes things happen. So that is the role of the manager. And finally, we have the role of the technician. And the technician is basically the doer of your business. So the entrepreneur lives in the future, the manager lives in the past, the technician lives in the now, lives in the present. The technician is basically the one that loves to get things done. As long as you're working, as long as you're making some kind of progress, the technician personality inside of you is happy. And now here's the problem, because the technician just wants to have fun. There's a little bit of a conflict between him and the manager. Because for the technician inside of you, having a system, having a plan, following things around a certain order feels a little bit like you're a robot.
Robot.
Basically, the technician wants to do the things that he wants to do on the time that he wants to do it without following an actionable plan. It's just trying to have fun along the way. But then there's also the part of the manager, because the manager thinks that the technician is someone that he should manage. And then when the technician doesn't follow his plan, there's a little bit of a tension. And you already know that tension. All right, let me ask you, create a plan for your week, the perfect week, everything is going to get done, everything is scheduled in your time blocks, in your calendar. Now, the only problem is you got to follow through with it. So the work of the manager was incredible, was beautiful. But now the technician on a Monday morning at 9 a.m. he's thinking, I really don't want to do this video now. And so you procrastinate. Then something comes up and then your morning goes through the window. I'm sure that happened to you, and now the manager is getting a little bit nervous because you're deviating from the perfect plan that he created. And I joke about this feeling too. I normally say that Dan from the future is the most productive guy that I know, because Dan from the present is making plans for Dan for the future, all these things that he's going to do. Oh my, he's really going to get things done. He's going to be so productive. But then what happens? Life happens.
Life.
Not everything is going to go according to your plan. You're just trying to make the best out of it. And so those are the three competing personalities that every entrepreneur has. And so the problem is that most people focus on the technician when they start a business. So they're just continuing to do the skill that we're doing at their job. But they forget that there's also a manager and there's also an entrepreneur. And the biggest block might even be the manager in the first place, because now you got to do all these things that you didn't do before at your job. The company took care of those for you. But because now this is your business, you have to do them all. And that's exactly what happened to me when I started my business. Before, when I worked in a company, I was able to use my creativity and my skills to produce things that would add value to other people. Then cut to starting my own business, right? I got to think about accounting. I got to do spreadsheets. I got to think about hiring people. What's the strategy? What's the vision? What is my target market? How do I actually start a YouTube channel? How do I grow my blog via SEO? And so many other things. I got to figure out everything by myself. And at the same time, I want to maintain my sanity. And my business has changed over time. And to know how it has changed, it is important to understand the 3 stages of a business. And so we arrive at the first stage, which is infancy. Now, infancy is basically where all businesses start. It's where you're taking the entire workload of the business by yourself. In the E-Myth Revisited, Michael Gerber calls this the master juggler, where you're trying to keep all the balls in the air. And it's actually very easy to see if a business is in the infancy phase. Basically, the owner of the business and the business itself are one. In other words, take away the owner and there's no business left. And in the beginning, you're gonna love being the master juggler, because again, you're taking the skill that you had, that you loved in another job, and apply it in your own thing, in your own business. But then, because now you're running a business, not working for a company, you need to do all this extra work. As Michael Gerber says, as a master juggler, you start to drop some balls. And so what ends happening at this stage? You put in more time, more energy into your business, because you think in the beginning this is normal. Like, you gotta hustle, you gotta work harder. That's just the way that you build a business. Everyone in the beginning had to do it, and now you're just following the same path. And so the business starts to consume your life. The boss that you tried to leave behind when you left the company, newsflash for you, the boss is real, the boss is here, the boss is your business. And so the infancy phase only ends when the owner realizes that in order order for the business to survive, something has gotta change. Because if it doesn't change, it's gonna fail. And so I can give you a very concrete example from my business. The way that I got started as an entrepreneur, as a creator, was through a newsletter. That was the first actual service that I launched. It's still live today. You can check it at oneproductivity.com. And then a few months later, I also launched my blog, which lives in my personal domain, Silvestre.com. So all this was in 2016. And in the beginning, everything was wonderful. I was working for myself. I was writing about the things that I loved, and I was providing value to people that would email me every week saying, Dan, I love your newsletter. This one changed my life. I apply this concept and it really changed my productivity. So that was fantastic. And in the beginning, I made zero money from those projects. I just figured that as long as I continued to deliver value, the money would come. But that took a lot longer. I'm not talking months, I'm talking years. And because I was using money for my personal savings, I was taking a big hit on my finances. So I tried a few different things to monetize, but nothing ever seemed to stick. I was just barely making enough money to live, which was fine at the time because I was doing what I loved. But if I wanted to create a business that scales, I know I needed to change. And that moment came to me last year in 2020. The technician in me realized that in order for my business to survive, there was something that needed to change. And so I like to think that my business moved to the second stage, which is adolescence. So adolescence is the point in your business that you realize that you're gonna need some help. You can't do it all by yourself. You gotta hire some people in order for your business to actually scale. And in the beginning, most of the help that you're gonna get is actually technical help. You're gonna take some of the things that the technician in you does and find new people that have those skills or can really quickly acquire those skills to help you along the way. And that idea alone of finding other people that can help you with the technical side of things is beautiful, because now you can focus on the few things that you do best and let other people come into your project, come into your business, and lighten the workload for you. But the problem is now you move from being a solo entrepreneur to now being in a team. So you actually gotta start managing people. So now not only you gotta continue to create things, to be the technician in you also gotta make time to manage, to teach people how to do things the way that you like them, the way that you do it. And so a big mistake that I made at the beginning was not making enough time to manage people. I didn't have anyone full-time, just a few freelancers here and there, but it was mostly management by abdication. I would just say, please have this done, but I would give no instructions on how that would be or how I want that thing done. So the end result, when that thing came back to me, was very disappointing. And what's more, it was very frustrating because I thought I was spending all this time managing all these people, trying to find systems that it worked, only to get the end result not at all what I wanted it to look like. And so also in this phase, in the adolescence phase, is that no one is going to care as much as you do about your business. Because remember, for you, this is your baby, this is your business, but for other people, this is a job. And because of that, because there's no passion, no vision with other people coming into your business, at this stage, most entrepreneurs give up the idea of hiring other people and scaling their business and go back to normal, to just being the master juggler. But you have to remember the previous stage, infancy. You needed some help to grow. Now the game has changed. The game is different. You have to understand how to manage other people so that you have the results that you want. And once you figure that out, you have entered the final phase, which is maturity. So maturity is when you're trying to build a business that works not because of you, but without you. And in this stage, you realize that the commodity you're selling, the product, the service, is not the most important part. The most important part is your business, how it acts, how it operates, how does it deliver value. And it does all of this in a systematic way. Whereas the technician asks what works needs to be done, the entrepreneur asks how must the business work. You see the business as a system to produce results. So in other words, what's really important is how you're gonna deliver that value. And for that, you need to work on your business, not in it. And so here I want to read the quote from the book that resonated with me the most. The question you need to keep asking yourself is, how can I give my customer the results he wants systematically rather than personally? Put another way, how can I create a business whose results are systems dependent rather than people dependent? Because the reality is, if your business depends on you, you don't have a business, you actually have a job. And you have the worst boss in the world, which is yourself. And so to make sure that I'm delegating efficiently and that my business can run without me, I do what I like to call playbooks. And I do them in Notion. Playbooks are basically a manual for getting things done. And even when building this system, building the playbooks, I learned the hard way, the most efficient, the best way to create them. So let me give you an example. I created this playbook on how to insert a new article into my website. So my website is hosted on WordPress. So the steps were like open WordPress, do this, do that, format, heading, and then post. So this playbook had so many steps that you needed to follow. But I suppose that's the way that I thought it should be. And then you know what happened? WordPress got an update and it changed so many things that now I needed to go back into my playbook and update it to make sure that all the screenshots were the right ones. So yeah, that's very frustrating. And that's the way that I did my first couple of playbooks. And then with time, I realized that I didn't need an exact step-by-step method. What I needed instead was find a way to efficiently delegate a task, to make sure that the other person understood the requirements and that they could complete it successfully and then come back to me if it was needed. And so through trial and error, I found that the best way to do this is to just record my screen screen doing that actual task, and then sending that video to the freelancer or to the person who's completing it. And the way that I do this is by using an app called Loom. Now, Loom is a very cool app that lets you record your screen. And once you're done with the recording, they will create a new page inside their database, and you can simply copy that link and share it with the freelancer or the team member that is completing that task. And so that's a much easier way for me to do it. Screen recording, no need to write all the steps in the playbook. That's going to be outdated in a week from now. And then to make sure that all the playbooks are organized, I put them in Notion and I allow access to my entire team. And so with time, we're building this library of processes and systems using Loom recordings so that if a new person joins the team, or I need to hire a freelancer for a specific technical skill, I can simply reuse that Loom recording and get the results that I want as I expect them to be. And so those are my key takeaways from the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. If you're an entrepreneur, this is the book that you have to read that's going to change your entire perspective on starting and growing a business. And then the next part is to figure out how you can be more productive as a technician. And lucky for you, I have a video on my favorite productivity book, How to Have a Good Days by Caroline Webb. And all you have to do is click here to go watch that video right now. It's a video like this with my best takeaways from that book. So go watch it right now and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.